What we need is not more medication, but more education, because the best prescription is knowledge. This is Exposé coming to you live from Lagos, Nigeria, every Monday on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook simultaneously. I'm the regular host, Tony Akinyemi. Don't forget, what we need is not more medication, but more education, because the best prescription is knowledge. Hello and welcome to Exposé with Tony Akinyemi, another very beautiful Monday evening here in Nigeria, West Africa. Don't forget, what we need is not more medication but more education. And that's why we are offering this education regarding some fundamental principles of healthy living. We have talked about the plus and minus principle, or the addition and subtraction principle, focusing more on the subtraction side of things. In other words, for you to enjoy robust health, long life, or for you to be able to recover from any disease that you are addressing, one of the things you must bear in mind is that there are things you must stop doing. There are things you must eliminate. There are things you must take away from your life, from your diet, as part of your strategy to recover or to prevent disease. And I have tried to categorize the things that we need to eliminate into three categories. The ones that are general to everybody, that everybody must eliminate. The ones that those who have allergy issues, if you are allergic to something, common sense dictates that you eliminate that thing or remove that thing from your menu. And number three, if you are already diagnosed with a disease condition and you know that certain things are contraindicated for you, then you should be disciplined enough to remove those things from your life as part of your strategy to be able to get well. And I have also zeroed in now on the general ones, category one, that everybody must remove, in my personal opinion. We have started talking about the dirty dozen. In other words, 12 out of the many things that can promote disease. We call them disease promoters. Those are the things to eliminate from your life. Health enhancers, rather, are the things that we're supposed to add to our lives. So, plus and minus principle. We ran through 12 groups of things that constitute the dirty dozen. So now, let's explore the dirty dozen one by one. Why do I think we should eliminate these things from our lives? What kind of damage do they do? What kind of problems do they cause? How do they compromise our health, and why must they go? All right, so we're going to start with dirty dozen item number one, and that is sugar, soft drinks, and packaged fruit juices. And the beautiful thing is that for every one item that I suggest you eliminate, there are at least 2 or 3 or 4, sometimes even 5 or more different substitutes that are healthy options. And for me, that's good news. So if I am not going to be doing sugar anymore, what kind of sweetener should I use? If I'm not going to be doing artificial sweeteners, what kind of healthy option do I have to use as my sweetener in my diet? All right, so sugar, soft drinks, and packaged fruit juices is the first one. Why must we eliminate these? Because number one, sugar elevates insulin level in your blood. Anytime you take refined sugar or you drink a can or two of soft drinks, soda pop, okay, or packaged fruit juices, you find, because these are fiberless foods, the sugar in them will rush into your bloodstream quickly, and there will be a sugar spike, okay, high level of sugar in the blood. And the moment that situation arises, your body senses it and your brain begins to direct affairs and tells your pancreas to begin to pump out a lot of insulin to do some mop-up operation to get the sugar out of the bloodstream as fast as possible so it can come down to normal levels. So when you take sugar or soft drinks, it elevates insulin in your body. And by the way, insulin will cause unnecessary hyperinflammation in your system if it lingers for too long. Number 2, sugar suppresses your immune system. I've been saying this over and over and over again. Somebody did a little experiment that I saw in the United States one of the times I visited. You have this particular device that is called a dark field microscope. Dark field microscope that is used to do live blood analysis. Okay, and you prick your finger to get a drop of blood and put it on a slide and prepare that slide to view that slide under the dark field microscope, which can be connected to your laptop screen, and you can see your own blood cells, red blood cells, white blood cells, and some of the constituents of your blood right on your screen, amplified, magnified. Okay, so if somebody wakes up in the morning, before you eat, you prick your finger and you put a drop of blood on your slide and prepare that slide to view it under the microscope. That's called live blood analysis. You will see your white blood cells are very active. That is, if you're a healthy person, your white blood cells are very agile. They are like Pac-Man, you know, they are moving and moving. They are not static. They are moving around. They are scavenging. Okay, they are looking for disease-causing agents to mop up. When they find a bacterium, the white blood cells will go there. They all mobilize. They go there and they circle that bacterium. They attach themselves to it and they eat it up. They engulf it, as it were, and consume it. That's how your immune system helps to fight infections. Okay, if they find a fungus, they begin to migrate in that direction. So you see your white blood cells, which is part of your adaptive immunity, begins to go to work to protect you from coming down with an infection or with a disease. So when you prick your finger and do your live blood analysis, you see that happening. Then maybe after you did that live blood analysis with your first sample, your first specimen, next you take 1 or 2 bottles of soft drink loaded with several cubes of sugar and wait for about 30 minutes to 1 hour when the sugar must have been absorbed into your bloodstream and you have a sugar spike in your blood. Prick your finger again and take another specimen and view it under the under the dark field microscope. Do your live blood analysis. You'll be amazed to see that all your white blood cells, because of the high sugar level in the blood, all your white blood cells will just freeze. They just freeze. And they don't move around like Pac-Man again, looking for what to engulf. And that means that your immunity has been frozen, so to speak. At least your adaptive immunity has been frozen by the high level of sugar. And some scientists have suggested that if you take 1 bottle of soft drinks containing approximately 8 to 11 cubes of sugar, you actually freeze your immune system for about 50% of your immunity is frozen for the next 24 hours. So sugar elevates insulin. Sugar suppresses the immune system. Sugar disrupts the metabolism of hormones. That's why it makes the dirty dozen to be eliminated. Sugar also generates free radicals and therefore accelerates the aging process. If you eat a lot of sugar, refined sugar, then you age more rapidly because of the generation of free radicals that accelerates the aging process. Okay? Number 5 rather, sugar makes your body acidic and therefore conducive for disease to start and thrive. If you have been following in this series, I mentioned that the terrain of your body can either be hostile to disease or conducive to disease. And when your body is acidic, it is conducive to disease. When your body is alkaline, it is hostile to disease. And sugar helps to acidify your body. All right, number 6, sugar actually feeds cancer. And sugar feeds infections. If you find somebody whose body is acidic and who has a lot of sugar flowing in their bodies, then that is good food for bacteria, for fungi, for viruses, and sugar feeds infection. Sugar feeds cancer. That's why when I hear some oncologists telling their cancer patients they can eat anything. I shudder. What kind of professional recklessness is that? How can anybody ever say such a thing? When you tell a cancer patient to continue to consume anything they like, including refined sugar and soft drinks, then you are feeding the cancer. That is not the way to go. Sugar feeds cancer, sugar feeds infection. When people have candida albicans, or yeast infection, or such things, personally, as a consultant in nutrition, one of the things I tell them to do is to eliminate all free-flowing sugar from their diet so that they can indirectly begin to starve these pathogens. Now, you can't have yeast infection and be taking soft drinks and sugar and you think you're taking an antifungal drug, therefore you'll be fine. You are continuing to feed them and they continue to replicate and thrive because sugar feeds infections and sugar feeds cancer, right? So there are many more things, too numerous, that sugar does to the body, that soft drinks do to the body, that packaged fruit juices that have been pasteurized do to the body. That's why it made the list of our dirty dozen. And I'm going to go to the second on our list of dirty dozen before I begin to tell us the alternatives, healthy alternatives to sugar, soft drinks, packaged fruit juices, and artificial sweeteners. Artificial sweeteners include things like saccharin or aspartame. Now, within 1 hour of eating it, aspartame breaks down in the body into toxic substances, okay, that can initiate or sustain disease in the body. It breaks down into 4 major toxic substances. Number 1 is methanol. Number 2 is aspartic acid. Number 3 is what we call phenylalanine. And number 4 is diketopiperazine, or DKP for short. These are the things that aspartame will break down into. Once you consume it and you metabolize it, it breaks down to these 4 components, and each one of them is toxic. Methanol is also known as wood alcohol, and it has been shown to cause blindness in countless alcoholics. It's often used as a paint thinner as well as an industrial cleaner. And this is the kind of thing that you get into your body when you take aspartame. Aspartame and other artificial sweeteners can cause problems like birth defects. They can cause lethargy and fainting, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. They can cause blindness and brain tumors. They can cause inflammation of the pancreas, known as pancreatitis, inflammation of the heart muscle, okay, myocarditis, and so on. It can contribute to Alzheimer's disease. It can contribute to headaches and mood swings. It can contribute to sleep disorders, memory loss and confusion, seizures and convulsions. Aspartame appears to be especially toxic for children. Don't go away. I'll be back very shortly to continue this conversation on the dirty dozen that we need to eliminate from our diet. This is Exposé with Tony Akinyemi. I'll be back very shortly.
The Anatomy of Begging is the latest book written by Rev Tony Akinyemi. This book has been written for the benefit of the church as a lens through which it can tell who indeed is the needy. You can get a copy of this book from Amazon.com or visit our bookstore, The Shepherd Store at 18 Shogunle Street off Mobolaji Bank, Anthony Way, behind Etebet Place, Abule Onigbagbo Bus Stop, Ikeja, Lagos.
Welcome back. Again, this is Exposé with Tony Akinyemi. We're talking about the major or fundamental principle of healthy living that has to do with the plus and minus principle. Things to add to your diet and lifestyle if you want to improve your health or reverse your disease or prevent disease. And things to eliminate from your diet and from your lifestyle if you want to live long, if you want to enjoy robust health, if you want to reverse existing diseases, and if you want to prevent diseases. Okay, it's called the plus and minus principle. That's the name I have given to it. I christened it that way. That's not from any textbook. That's my personal product, the plus and minus principle. Is that okay? Now, I have identified the dirty dozen, and we are dealing with the first 2. We are dealing with refined sugar. We are dealing with soft drinks, including energy drinks and sports drinks. All of them are put together under that, as well as packaged fruit juices. Now, and then the second one are artificial sweeteners like aspartame and saccharin. And I mentioned some of the dangers of consuming aspartame before we went on that short break. When you consume aspartame and your body metabolizes inside your body, it breaks down into 4 toxic substances, and those ones can cause different kinds of diseases. You may never be able to connect it with aspartame. Now, aspartame is about 200 times sweeter than sugar, and it has almost 0 calories. That's why people who are running away from sugar or who want to lose weight try to use artificial sweeteners instead of sugar. All right, so it is especially prevalent in diet foods. You find it in diet soft drinks, diet this, diet that. They use aspartame, okay, as the sweeteners in those diet products. It can also be found in many other products out there, in breath mints, in diet soft drinks, in sugar-free drinks. When they say a drink is sugar-free and yet it is sweet, you can almost suspect that it has an artificial sweetener inside. It is found in most breakfast cereals, aspartame, that is. It's found in sugar-free chewing gum. It's found in some of these cocoa mixes, some of these juice beverages, some of these laxatives. Some multivitamins even have them. Some non-prescription pharmaceuticals. Some shake mixes, all those shakes that the dieters and people who want to lose weight actually use. Some tabletop sweeteners. And in fact, it's aspartame that they use in sweetening some yogurts out there. And so that's why I recommend to people that if you want to take yogurt at all, make sure it is unsweetened so that you can do the sweetening by yourself with the appropriate sweetener, because some of them are actually sweetened with artificial sweeteners, which is not good. Now, so if we are going to eliminate soft drinks, packaged fruit juices, refined sugar, and artificial sweeteners, what then do we use to sweeten our food? Okay, I'm going to give you some alternatives to all of these things. Now, for sweetening your tea, your pap, your oats, or anything else you want to sweeten, you can use the following. Number 1, stevia, S-T-E-V-I-A. Stevia is actually a tree, a plant, and the leaves of that plant actually taste very sweet. Now, we used to have that particular kind of tree in the farm when I was in the village with my father. My father was a farmer before he passed on. And when I was growing up as a young kid, as a teenager, as a youth, we would go to the farm, we would pluck the leaves of the stevia plant and we would just chew it. Very sweet. Okay, so the stevia plant, they harvest the leaves, they dry it and grind it into powder. Some of them they extract it into liquid form or tablet form, formulate it into tablet form, and you can use it to sweeten anything you want to sweeten. The thing about stevia is that if you use too much of it, it becomes bitter. So it also helps to keep you in check so you don't overdo it, right? If you put a very little amount, it sweetens and the calorie is near 0. So it's good for diabetics, it's good for people who want to lose weight and what have you. All right? You can also use date as your sweetener. Date. Date palm is actually very sweet. It's not just a sweetener, it also has a lot of minerals in it. So it's a kind of multi-mineral. You can use it in various forms. You can remove the hard core of the date and then, dried, of course, well-dried date. Remove the hard core and then you grind the rest into like granules. It's like granulated sugar. All right, it looks like brown sugar. When the finished product looks like brown sugar, which you can put in a glass jar and you can use your spoon, to put it in whatever you want to sweeten. That's a very good way. You can also soak date, dried date, soak it in water overnight so it becomes tender and soft. You remove the hard core and then you put it in your blender and add a little water and blend it to very smooth consistency. Then it comes out almost like honey. You can put it in your glass jar as well and refrigerate it. And you can use it for 1 or 2 weeks, sweetening whatever you want to do. Just make enough to last you for about 2 weeks max. And that is a good way to sweeten your things with date, which is sweet and also rich in minerals, unlike refined sugar that has no minerals, no vitamins. You can also use raw, unfiltered honey as your sweetener. Raw, unfiltered honey. All right? And there are many other products out there that are specifically made for sweetening that are healthy and low calorie. Things like TheraSweet, T-H-E-R-A Sweet, TheraSweet. You find that at the website of livingfuel.com, livingfuel.com. Okay, and then there's another one called Just Like Sugar. It's actually made from, vegetables and some amino acids, and it's actually it sweetens, and those are alternatives to sugar. Now, what about alternative to your soft drinks and what have you? I recommend smoothies as an alternative. I recommend vegetable juices. Carrot juice is fantastic. Beetroot juice is fantastic. And I recommend fruit juices as well. You can make your own orange juice at home. You can make your pineapple juice at home, watermelon juice at home, tomato juice at home, apple juice at home, even grape juice at home. All of these are alternatives to your soft drinks, to your alcoholic beverages, to your packaged fruit juices and what have you. And these vegetable juices and fruit juices are also medicinal, by the way, and so you are actually enjoying two benefits. Now, but I would recommend that you de-emphasize fruit juices so that you don't get too much sugar circulating in your blood. Eat your fruits whole for the most part. Of course, you can juice and use it occasionally, but you can juice your vegetables instead. Juice your vegetables more instead of your fruits. And you can also, of course, eat your vegetable in the form of salad and cooked vegetables. So that is the dirty dozen numbers 1 and 2. Now let's go quickly to dirty dozen number 3, and that is fried foods and fast foods. Fried foods such as akara, dodo, fried yam, fried fish, fried meat, small chops, buns, puff, donut, potato chips, chin chin, what have you. I know I'm going to be running into trouble with some people there. How can you tell us not to eat all of these things? Well, let me say it this way. If you are not sick, you're well. You're not dealing with any disease condition. You're just trying to maintain, a healthy lifestyle, a healthy diet. If you indulge once in a long while with some of these things, still okay, no problem. Maybe you went for a party, or you are going out for dinner with some friends, or to have lunch with some friends once in a blue moon, okay? And you have to eat, some of these things like akara, like dodo, like fried yam, like, small chops, like, what have you. It's okay, no problem. But really, if you are sick and you are dealing with a debilitating disease, I would say no compromise at all, please. Frying your food creates a lot of trans fats that are very dangerous to health. Okay, frying certain foods also create cancer-causing agents, carcinogens, right? Some of them, an example is acrylamide or acrylamide. It is created, for example, when potato is fried in oil. There is a byproduct that comes out of that frying of potato in oil. It's called acrylamide. You can go to the website of the World Health Organization and go to the search engine and just type in acrylamide, acrylamide, and you will be shocked to see the press releases from the WHO that actually says that frying some of these things creates cancer-causing agents. Frying also damages the oil that you use in frying, and thereby making us to lose the health benefits that the oils are supposed to offer. There are 3 major macronutrients. We have proteins, we have carbohydrates, and then we have fats and oil. Now, fats and oil are part and parcel of a balanced diet, and they give us some health benefits. But when you use oil to fry, particularly those who fry and fry and fry and fry, and the oil becomes so dark, almost like engine oil, and they keep using it to keep frying, that oil has been damaged. That kind of oil cannot offer you any health benefit. If anything, it causes disease. Then fast foods are also almost always loaded with artificial sweeteners, with sugar, with taste enhancers, with artificial flavors, with artificial colors, with refined salt, with trans fat, with all kinds of things, emulsifiers, that are toxic to the body, dangerous to health, and they actually promote disease. So we need to eliminate fried food. You can saute, you can stir fry, you can, bake, you can grill. Those are options instead of frying, all right? Of course, when it comes to oils, there are essentially 2 major categories of oils. We have the unsaturated oils and we have the saturated ones. And then the unsaturated, we have the mono unsaturated, we have the poly unsaturated. Then for the saturated, we have the short chain saturated fat, we have the medium chain saturated fat, and we have the long chain saturated fat. Now, the long chain saturated fats include things like the thick cut of fat in meat, that's loaded with cholesterol. Medium chain saturated fats includes coconut oil, palm kernel oil. Those ones are very good and healthy, all right? And then you have things like butter in the short chain saturated fats. Then the unsaturated fats are particularly sensitive to heat. Olive oil, flaxseed oil, those oils are not supposed to be used for frying because they are very delicate. They get easily, spoils. They become trans fat. Instead of their cis structure in biochemistry, they become trans structure, and that is very unhealthy, for us. When we deal with diabetes, I'll show you how trans fat can contribute to insulin resistance and lead to diabetes at the end of the day. So eliminate these 3 dirty dozen from your diet as part of your strategy. When we come back next week, by the grace of God, we'll be talking about the remaining 9 of the dirty dozen. This has been Exposé with Tony Akinyemi, brought to you courtesy the Shepherd's Flock International Church. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and to also like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. And by the special grace of God, we'll see you next week again for a continuation of this conversation. Again, don't forget, what we need is not more medication, but more education. For the best prescription is knowledge. God bless you. Do have a fantastic week ahead of you.
The Anatomy of Begging is the latest book written by Rev Tony Akinyemi. This book has been written for the benefit of the church as a lens through which it can tell who indeed is the needy. You can get a copy of this book from Amazon.com or visit our bookstore, The Shepherd Store at 18 Shogunle Street off Mobolaji Bank, Anthony Way, behind Etebet Place, Abule Onigbagbo Bus Stop, Ikeja, Lagos.